Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I filmed a current foundation routine. Now I did do one of these back in March, but I've had a few people questioning what foundations I've been using, how I've been applying them, what is my buffing technique that I keep talking about. And granted, I do this in a lot of videos, but I can see how it can be a little bit confusing. So I decided I would compile it all into one video for you guys. Since March, when I did my last one, some things have changed and some things have not. So you might be thinking, well, this is a little bit repetitive, or you might learn something new. However, either way, if you ever watch a tutorial of mine and you're wondering, okay, well, how does she do her foundation? This is what I have been doing, and I've been doing it very consistently, at least for the last 3 months, at least, if not longer. I'm pretty sure it's longer, but I feel it's safe to say on camera without going and checking first that at least 3 months. If you are wondering about this eye look, I have already done a video on it, so I will link that down below for you guys if you're curious how I created this. But if you want to know how I do my current foundation routine, just keep watching. Okay, first things first, skincare. So I have nothing on my face except for my skincare, and I do like to allow that to sink into my skin so it's not slippery when I go to put my makeup on. So 10 to 15 minutes, and then I go in with my primers. Now I don't wear a primer all over my face all the time. It's kind of specific to what I need for the day. Today, I don't need any primer. My skin has finally calmed down. It had been breaking out, so I'm not having any real issues with my skin right now. I mean, I have a little bit of redness left over, but that's, whatever. But I'm going to tell you the 3 favorite primers that I use when I use a primer all over. So you guys have heard me talk about this one. This is MAC Natural Radiance. I like this one because it both hydrates the skin and helps to control oil, but it doesn't mattify you. It just leaves you with a really beautiful finish. I like this one a lot, but I won't use it every day because of the alcohol content in this one. I just like the way my skin looks with this. It creates a sticky base. It holds on my makeup, and it's, again, luminous. And then this one I have not talked to you guys about, but you will definitely hear about this in my October favorites. This guy is amazing. This is J1 Jelly Pack. If you want something to hold on your makeup, this is the stickiest base I've ever used in my entire life. But like I said, not going anywhere today. I'm not having any kind of skin issues, so I'm not going to use a primer today, and I'm not going to because that is typical. I don't use a primer every single time I do my makeup except on my pore and T-zone area. But if I was going to pick one, it'd be one of those 3. These 2 primers I do use absolutely every single day. Does not matter what's going on. These 2 are on my face. So the very first one is MAC Skin Refine Zone. I'm trying to throw it around. I just had to pick up another one of these yesterday because I'm running out. I like to put these on my pores, on my forehead, and on my chin. This is going to help block the oil from coming through. And I feel like it holds and grips onto the smoothing primer even better. If you've been watching my videos at all, you know that I'm addicted to this stuff. I have tried several other, like the not Guerlain, Giorgio Armani Prima didn't work as well for this. The Matte Rescue Benefit did not work as well. And then smoothing primers. I cannot find one that I like as much as the Makeup Forever one. There's a Tarte one that I found that I really do like. It comes in a pot. I think it's this one right here. It's called the Tarte Timeless Smoothing Primer, something like that. It's probably written right there on the screen, and I can't see it. But my problem with that one is it's only a ½ ounce, and it's $1 more than this one. This is a full ounce. And it does tend to dry up just a little bit, so I do think it's really good at filling in pores, but I mean, there's no point in me switching to it when this one is $1 less, doesn't dry up, and has more product in it. So I put this on my pores, and then I also put a little dot on each side right underneath my eye to help kind of fill in the fine lines there. So when I put on highlighter and stuff, it just looks smoother. Now, if I have any kind of acne situation going on where I'm a little bit more like textured on my skin, I will also take this and just run the excess right over top of it. I don't like to put like a dot over it just because you'll end up with a little bit more texture, like it'll make it more dry. Because I don't know about you, but when I have a pimple, usually I end up picking at it, or I try to dry it out with some kind of product, and then the skin around it becomes dry. And then you're putting a smoothing primer on there, which is also dry, and it just kind of creates a mess. So I will only take like the excess that's on my finger. Okay, and because this is a foundation routine, I'm going to use what I use most of the time, which is going to be the Vibrancy foundation from Josie Maran, but I'm also going to tell you about my other favorites. So these are the ones that I switch out the most. Hourglass Vanish Seamless Stick. This guy is amazing. If I want more coverage all over, I always use this. I've been loving this one. This is the La Mer, the Soft Fluid Foundation. So if I want a lighter weight feel, but I want it to be a little bit more matte than this one, I like that guy. And then this one, I really don't wear all over my entire face anymore, but I'm about to show you how I use that. This is the MAC Nourishing Pro Longwear Waterproof Foundation. And these are the two that I'm going to show you how I do today. So I start off by shaking my foundation, and this is the Josie Maran Vibrancy. And the shade that I'm wearing right now is a little bit dark, but it matches my body, so you'll see. This one is G35 Electric, and then I will take just one pump of this and I put it on my Petri dish. I'm like running out. Come on, come out, come out. Yes, I'm so almost done with that. And before, I would always use a beauty blender to put on my foundation. I don't really do that anymore. I have not used a beauty blender to put on my makeup since I got this brush. And this is the Oval 7 Artiste brush. Now, if I was going to use something really thick like my waterproof foundation, I probably would still use the beauty blender, but my routine, I've been using this. So I'm going to grab that foundation and I kind of work it into the brush. And then I just start going in, and I go in downward strokes. We all have tiny little hairs on our face, unless you happen to shave or do that, whatever that thing is, and you don't have the hairs. Excuse me, my throat is like, ugh. Had an allergic reaction the other day, and they gave me like this breathing treatment, but it was like smoke, and I have been like this ever since. It's awful. Ugh. Like my cup. Yeah, Marlena had this in her favorites video, and I freaked out and went on a hunt to find it. I love it. But as I was saying, we all have tiny little hairs on our face, and you don't want to exaggerate them by going up and down. So if you're going in a downward motion, you're going to lay those hairs flat and they won't be as noticeable. I always take the excess that's on my brush and go over my nose, but I don't like to put a whole lot of product there because my nose tends to be a little bit flaky. And then I'll go in with my beauty blender and even do this, like it's damp, and just go over top of it. So it kind of removes most of the foundation off my nose, and then you can see my little freckles. But it just makes it look better because too much foundation on my nose, and it's like, no. I have a full layer all over my face, just one thin layer though. And then you already saw me take the beauty blender to my nose, but I also will take it right around my smile lines, because if not, I tend to crease there a lot. So I just want to pick up any excess product. And then this is what I do if I end up having like a little bit of, you know, if I'm breaking out somewhere, but I don't want coverage everywhere, I take coverage and put it where I want it. This is the MAC Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation, and the color that I use in conjunction with G35 in the last one, this is NC25, and I take just a little tiny bit of this and put it on my Petri dish again. And then I take the butt of my Beauty Blender, work in a little bit of product, and then anywhere that I feel like I want a little bit more coverage, I will dot this over it. So that way I don't have a full layer of foundation over my entire face, like of thick, full coverage. It still looks more skin-like everywhere, and then I have coverage where I need it. Okay, so for concealer, I used to be so down for the Naked Skin concealer. It was like my boo. I put that on the other day, and I'm not even kidding, I hated my concealer. It's freaking ridiculous. I have been obsessed with the Smashbox Studio Skin 24-Hour Waterproof Concealer. Long name. You guys know how I feel about that. And I used to also like a really bright under eye. I don't do that anymore. So this does run dark. So just so you know, this is in the shade light, but it's not that light. So I'm going to take this and I put it underneath both of my eyes. And I don't go down the center of my nose, my forehead and chin, any of that anymore. I mean, if I was going to use a brighter concealer, I would, because you would need to even everything out. But this is more like my skin tone. So I put that there, and then I take my damp Beauty Blender and just tap this in. Super natural, as you can see. And then I go in with my favorite bronzer of life. This is the Soleil Tan de Chanel right here. And I'm gonna get my brush. This is a double-ended IT Cosmetics brush from Ulta. And I just work the product into the brush. And then I start pouncing it almost like you would a Beauty Blender onto my skin. And just working it around. I wish my skin was not oily in the T-zone, because or else I would just leave it like this and be like, yes, boo, my skin looks good. But I have to set my face or else I will be a greasy, nasty mess. So nothing new here. I'm going to grab a Beauty Blender again, and I'm going to grab, this is Hourglass Diffuse Light, and this is my favorite thing to set underneath my eyes. Have not found anything that I like better. I do this, just tap it underneath, and I don't go all the way up here because I don't like there to be too much powder underneath my eyes. Then I also take that powder down the center of my nose, forehead, and chin. Now here comes the sad part, because this is discontinued, but this is what I use every single day. They do have a new La Mer powder out, but I don't feel that it's the same. So I take my La Mer powder, the original, to set the rest of my face. But I use the Sicily powder to buff at the end. I would say if you want a luminous finish, just use the Sicily powder on both ends of the spectrum, but I do switch it up. Now it is time for blush, and I'm going to use Chanel's Evening Beige. And I'm actually using a Wayne Goss number 2. I used this all the time for other things, and then all of a sudden I was like, man, I want to use it for my blush one day. I think my other brushes were dirty or something, and I've been using this one ever since. It's so weird. I'm gonna pop this on my cheeks. Now I do tend to put on a little bit more blush than what I would want it to look like in the end, but when I do the buffing technique at the very end of my foundation routine, it softens everything up and it lightens it up. So I want it to be able to still be able to be seen through the last powder application. So I do go a little bit heavier than what I would want it to look like in the end. Now is when I would go in with my highlight. So I'm going to use the highlight out of the Filmstar Bronze and Glow, the lighter version, Charlotte Tilbury, and the Sigma fan brush. And I'm gonna pop it on my cheeks, at the top part of my cheekbone, not like all of my cheeks. And then on my nose. And Cupid's bow. And now this is when I do my buffing technique. So I take the Sicily powder, and this is in 01 Iris C, and I open it up, and I take my La Mer, the powder brush, pop it in here, and then dump it upside down, so that's about all that I get on. And then I start buffing it into my skin, and you'll see that it softens up the look of my blush really nicely. And I just do it all over my face. And it adds a beautiful radiance. It's so gorgeous. And then if I needed to set this, I would go ahead and do that. And I usually use the Chill Makeup Setting Spray to do that. Or I use Fix Plus. It just depends, again, on what I'm doing, how my skin is, and all that. But this is my foundation routine. And I'm going to go finish off like the rest of my face. Okay guys, so that is it for my foundation routine. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it down below. I will answer as much as I possibly can. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.